Hey guys, my name is Carberry. I'm 18 years old and I live in Alberta, Canada. I know I have not made any videos up until this point. However, there was some confusion about when I was supposed to be uploading and that sort of stuff. So now that that's all cleared up, I will be posting a whole lot more regularly, so you'll get to know more about me. Which, on that topic, I am not going to do a whole lot of information about me in this video, just because I want to keep it as concise and to the point as possible, because it is a fairly big topic. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to post them in the comments bar down below, or you can just send them to my Ask box on Tumblr, which is where I will probably reply a lot more efficiently anyways. So yeah, this week's topic is growing up transgender. This is a big topic. When I was growing up, as Asher said, for the most part, I took on the lead male role in games. I don't really remember ever playing a female, or having a desire to play a female. I was always the father or whatever else in the game that we were playing. And on the other hand, even though that I was always pretending to be male, I never actually vocalized the fact that I felt that I was male. And my friends, though, didn't really care. It was just kind of generally accepted that that's how things were with me, and that's what made me most comfortable. So nobody ever made a fuss about it, and it was never an issue, which was nice, obviously. However, when I moved here, and I was in grade 3, the boys in my grade that I wanted to play sports and roughhouse with were seeing me as female. And on the other hand, the females in my grade, I just wasn't able to associate with. I wasn't interested in anything that they were interested in. I didn't want to play with dolls. I didn't want to pretend I was a unicorn. It just wasn't stuff that I wanted to do. And then obviously puberty hit, and again things became really, really difficult, and I was looking at my male friends and wanting to be them, and obviously feeling more isolated from my female friends because they were incredibly excited about the onset of puberty and their journey into womanhood, and I was only getting depressed and dysphoric about it, which made me realize that not everybody felt that way. And that's kind of when things started clicking, that obviously there was something different about the way that I was feeling, because it just wasn't the way that my friends were feeling. And when I was 15, that's kind of when I came to the general conclusion that I was in fact a boy trapped in a female body. However, after that, despite knowing all of this, I tried incredibly hard to be very, very feminine and push all of those thoughts out, because I knew that that was something that my parents especially would not be okay with. And up until that point in my mind, there was only one type of male, and you had to be incredibly masculine and macho and do that all sorts of stuff, and that just wasn't me. And so I knew they would give me a really hard time, because they'd give me a hard time about other things as well. But so it wasn't until that I was 17 that I actually came out, and even then, my parents were very, very skeptical, and my dad made some sort of offhanded comment about, well, you don't even act like a boy. And obviously we all know that gender roles are not cool, especially when you are a transgender person, because obviously you're very, very sensitive about your gender representation and that sort of stuff. So comments like that just don't help the dysphoria or the way that you perceive yourself anyways. But so yeah, coming to terms and accepting that I was transgender was really, really difficult because my parents had pushed me for so long to be female and act female and do female things, and I just knew that that wasn't what I was. So there was a very long time that I kept those feelings stored away, and it just ended up turning into just a really bad idea, I guess you could say, because obviously then all I had this stuff that was just bottling up inside. And so when I finally came out, and I was starting to feel a whole lot better about myself, and super happy about being comfortable finally, but I was still having these issues with my parents, and my parents were still trying to force me to be female. And so, but anyways, I mean, obviously there's not very much that I can do about that because they're going to do their own thing. But yeah, so that's every person's transgender story is different, and some people are very, very open about the fact that they feel that they are a certain gender as a child, and some people are not, and I was one of the people that just never talked about it. But leading off of that topic, there is no right or wrong way to be transgender either. I personally am going to be physically transitioning. I've been socially transitioning for about 1.5 years now, and I'm going to be starting hormones at the end of March here. So that's just what I think is best for me, and I think a lot of the time, especially transition-wise, you just need to go with your gut, and what you think is obviously going to be the best option for you long term. But yeah, so that's all I gotta say about that. And now that I know that I'm supposed to be making videos, I will be making them more often. So even if you don't ask me questions about this video, you'll get to know more about me just throughout the other topics and that sort of stuff. Anyways, hopefully this video was helpful, and I will see you guys next week.